Tonight on Joynews, prime military personnel providing protection to some miners in the Manso Forest in the Ashanti region clash with Ministry of Environment Task Force monitoring the activities of illegal miners. Well, the Joynews team covering the operations of the task force also came under attack.
Our news team was prevented from filming anything from this time onwards as the macho men assaulted my driver, forcibly took the keys to our vehicle and struggled with a camera technician for the camera. Under the watch of the military men, they broke our windscreen and side mirrors.
A claim that political rallies cannot be blamed for the recent surge in Ghana's coronavirus cases is being seriously challenged.
Who are the people running around the political rallies? Healthy young people. How many people after a rally were tested? No one. When did we say that, okay, after this political rally, we are testing the people to see whether they have gotten an infection or not? We didn't. These people are healthy, fit young people.
Former Chief Justice and Chairperson of the National COVID-19 Trust Fund is the latest to contest that claim.
Brothers, the rallies. I stopped watching TV when before the elections. I stopped watching because my heart will be jumping because I just could, people are excited, they are together, they are not wearing masks, they are shouting.
Schools have meanwhile reopened across the country despite the surge in cases with varying degrees of compliance with the preventive protocols.
Where's your mask? This is in my bag. This is in my bag.
It is difficult for me to breathe in the mask, but I'll wear it.
In business, high freight charges becoming a nightmare for importers who say the cost of renting or shipping a container from Asia and Europe has skyrocketed from $3,000 to $13,000.
More than 100%. It's almost 500%. It's all because of the COVID outbreak. It's not the problem is not being solved globally.
My name is Israelite. Joynews Prime is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios at Kokomlemele here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. Joynews has discovered over 30 fully armed military personnel protecting miners pillaging the Manso Forest in the Ashanti region. This is despite the government's announced withdrawal of all military personnel from mining sites across the country. Erastus Asaridonko reports there was a standoff between the military personnel protecting the miners and the Environmental Sustainability Task Force of the Ministry of Environment, to the extent that the Joynews team covering the operations of the task force was attacked and had its vehicle and camera damaged.
The team's journey to this part of Manso and its forest saw scenes of destruction. Abandoned pits and mining settlements dot the road leading into the remaining part of the forest. After dodging water-filled, dangerous open pits, we arrived at this mining settlement deep within the forest enclave. 7 Chinese nationals were quickly located and arrested. Leader of the team conducted a search room by room. There were indications of military presence.
From what we are seeing here, it looks like there are some military men involved in this whole activity in this forest. Looking at their uniforms, even some have names on them, but we did not meet any of them. But looking at it, I think the military were the people protecting them here to do this illegal job.
Okay, so what are we doing with the uniforms?
First of all, we need to retrieve them and then ascertain as to who sanctioned their duties here.
So these are military accoutrements. You can find names on them. This one is Camel. This one is Camel. We have the other one, Amweni, on this one. And these are As security men have been able to authenticate, these are quality Ghana Army uniforms, indicating that we may have some military involvement here in this site.
In the midst of our search, a young military officer drove into the compound in a Tundra vehicle.
Yes, sir. Obi to say, we see a lot of people. Obi to say, so just no more.
He started making some calls to his superiors.
I will do the staff sergeant, sir. We are here at this thing, Tontochrome. The hot duties, and there are some policemen and media be here.
Within the next 30 minutes, the whole place was crawling with over 30 angry, armed military men. Anger turned into heated verbal exchanges and near fisticuffs. A group of physically built men with known faces from the Delta Force group also joined them. The Chinese were released. Our news team was prevented from filming anything from this time onwards as they overpowered the task force and took over.
Stop what you're doing! Stop what you're doing!
Things got physical as the macho men assaulted my driver, forcibly took the keys to our vehicle and struggled with a camera technician for the camera. Under the watch of the military men, they broke our windscreen and side mirrors. Owner of the site, Donald Ntua, ordered the military to delete all footages from our camera and our personal phones. But we managed to retrieve items from our formatted card. It took the intervention of the Ministry of Environment and the Military High Command to get us released. The Minister for Environment told our news team, quote, Heritage Imperial only has a prospecting license, and so it is mining illegally in the forest. He is supposed to be drilling, testing samples to be presented in the process of getting a mining permit. But Donald told our news team he has all the documents giving him full access to mine in the forest. But in all this, the best judge is the environment, which lies unclaimed with huge gullies and pits. Reporting for Joynews, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
In other news, the police administration will be resolute and firm in the application of the law enforcing the wearing of face masks. The measure is considered among the key interventions needed to stop the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Those found guilty of flouting the law as spelled out in Executive Instrument 164 are to be fined a minimum of 12,000 cedis or a maximum of 60,000 cedis or sentenced to between 4 and 10 years in prison. With Ghana's case count now at nearly 2,000 active cases and 352 deaths, and with the discovery of new strains of the virus in Ghana, the need to step up. The fight has become imperative, as stated by President Akufo-Addo when he updated the nation Sunday night.
I've instructed the Inspector General of Police to direct officers, men and women of the police service, to ensure the rigorous enforcement of the law on mask wearing at all public places and in public transport. They're also to ensure the closure of all nightclubs, pubs, cinemas and beaches that may be operating in defiance of the law. They will be assisted by the other security agencies, if need be. Persons in marketplaces, workplaces, and operators of public transport must conduct their activities in accordance with the hygiene and safety protocols. The wearing of masks in these places is mandatory. Regulatory agencies will undertake random checks to ensure conformity with COVID-19 rules. Should any facility or institution fail to comply with these directives, its activities will be immediately prohibited and appropriate sanctions applied. It is important that I remind all Ghanaians that severe punishments exist on our statute books for persons breaking the law on the mandatory wearing of masks. Should anyone be arrested by the security agencies disregarding this directive, that person will be dealt with strictly in accordance with law. We do not want to go back to the days of partial lockdowns, which had a negative impact on our economy and on our way of life. But should that become necessary, that is, should the number of active cases continue to increase at the current rate, I will have no option but to reimpose these restrictions, because it is better to be safe than to be sorry.
A number of the new cases recorded so far have presented unfamiliar symptoms, including waist pains and sudden death without any underlying health problems. The development is prompting fears Ghana could be harboring a new strain of the virus. Now, how different or similar are symptoms of the new variants? Dr. Yabediako, an immunologist at the West Africa Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens, tells us more.
So, for now, so far, all the variants, and this is not just in Ghana, all the variants that have so far been detected globally, none have been demonstrated to cause more severe disease. So it appears that, COVID, depending on who you are, in different people presents different. But so far, there is no evidence of a particular variant that causes more severe disease. Having said that, as I said, these two variants that have been identified recently, and that unfortunately we now have at least found at the airport, these have been shown to be more highly transmissible. So what that means is they are transmitted from person to person much more easily than the previous variant. So while they may not cause an individual to be more severely sick than the COVID the variants that were circulating previously, the number of people that a single infected person can infect if they have this new variant is significantly more. And so that means that, if in a household you had one infected person in the past, they may not, they will probably not infect that many people in the same house. But with this highly transmissible variant, the chances of more people in the household being infected is raised. The same for public transportation or in an office or in a crowded area. Now, if one person has that new variant, the likelihood of multiple people in their surroundings being infected is significantly increased. In fact, the UK variant is 70% more transmissible than the quote-unquote original strain. Well, I mean, scientifically, we are yet to fully understand what makes this virus more transmissible. Okay. But I would say that, yes, social distancing, yes, the virus may not necessarily travel further, although it may persist longer. We don't yet know why it is more transmissible. But certainly, the time required to become infected is probably less.
Now, there's growing criticism of political parties whose activities may have contributed to the spike in the COVID-19 numbers. Chairperson of the Board of Trustees for the National COVID-19 Trust Fund, Madam Sophia Kufo, is the latest to cite political rallies and parties during Christmas and other super spreader events for the recent uptick in cases. This is despite a debunking of the theory by the President's representative at the Information Ministry, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, who insists the data does not support that assertion.
Well, if you take the election period, I'm sure the doctors in the studio will tell you the data will not support that argument. I know it's fanciful for us to make that argument. Election period was on the 7th of December, thereabout. So you're looking at about 14 days around that period. You don't see those numbers. But the Yuletide, the 25th coming to the New Year era, you'll notice, and they even have specifics when they do the tracing, they have specifics of events under which persons turned positive, which is now what is leading to the about 200 average cases a day. There's clear data and clear science to support this argument. So I want us to be very clear on that one.
His comments have drawn criticism from health experts who have described Mr. Oppong-Nkrumah's utterances as misleading and unfortunate. Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo, and Kwame Sapon-Yesiri of CDD Ghana spoke earlier on Joy FM Super Morning Show.
Anybody who dies 28 days after a positive test is considered to have died of COVID. That's how the reports are made. So you need to add 5 days to that 28 days to guess when the person was infected. That makes it 33 days. So the ripple effect of what you see manifesting and causing us concern now didn't start today. And we need to get these basic numbers straight. That is why I cringe when I hear people trying to labor the point and behave as if you have to calculate from the time the person tested positive. Sometimes the person might even have gone past their latent period, might be asymptomatic, and would only avail themselves for a test when they are getting progressively worse. Especially with our current testing regimen, which requires that you have to get progressively worse and then go into a health facility before you fit the case definition and get tested. So majority of the people are actually availing themselves to testing after around day 9, day 10 because of our testing protocol. So when I hear people then, based on this simple arithmetic addition, try and throw dust in my face that mass gatherings at the end of November contributed nothing, I ask myself, am I reading Greek? And I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm reading epidemiology. And I'm reading the numbers as per the journey of this virus.
Who are the people running around the political rallies? Healthy young people. How many people after a rally were tested? No one. When did we say that, okay, after this political rally, we are testing the people to see whether they have gotten an infection or not? We didn't. These people are healthy, fit young people. How many of our grandparents can go and shout and scream in their gatherings? They won't be there. Now, when they get that infection at that period of time, they were not tested. There was no mass testing going on. We had restricted testing to only symptomatic people. Most of these people did not come in for any testing. So if you have not tested them, how then do you say that political activity does not contribute to the spread of the virus?
But isn't that why they say the data they have?
How do you generate the data? If you deliberately collect data from a particular segment and use it to interpret it for how you want it, then it will give you the kind of information you want.
I mean,
the data is, the source of the data is as important as its interpretation. If you are not testing the entire community, you are testing only people who have come to hospital. You are testing people who are sick. Some of whom, by the time you are testing, have no viremia, and therefore you test and they may look negative, but they are having post-COVID syndrome. And you base that your policy on that data. Where are we going to?
Welcome back to Joynews Prime. We're going back to our earlier story where the political rallies, or those involved with the political rallies, have sought to distance themselves from the recent spike in COVID-19 cases. Well, former Chief Justice Sophia Kufu tells Joynews that politicians cannot be absolved of blame. She spoke exclusively with my colleague Latif Idris.
Your elbow, you're too close. Let's not joke with this disease. Ghana, when bad situations persist for a while, and we start making jokes about it. This pandemic is no joking matter. The numbers are going rapidly up because towards the end of the year, there were just too many super spreader events. So the children, the young people, they should decide that now it is hip, now it is in, now it is, what are their expressions? It's cool to keep your mask on. And when you wear the mask, you're masking your nose and your mouth. I like your mask. It keeps your nose properly covered, even when you're talking. Thank you. You know, because it's important to keep both the nose, because you breathe through the nose and you talk through the mouth. Teachers must also set an example, and they should wear their masks properly, and they should monitor, constantly monitoring the children, the washing of hands, the taking of temperatures, keeping an eye on those who suddenly look not too well, and everything.
In super spread events, maybe you can highlight on those so that we do not go back and lower our guard so that we get another hit.
The super spreaders, the rallies. I stopped watching TV when before the elections. I stopped watching because my heart will be jumping, because I just could, people are excited, they are together, they are not wearing masks, they are shouting. That's a super spreader. Parties are super spreaders. Large gatherings without masks, people bunched together.
For instance, what we saw at the beaches.
Oh, yeah. You think you're having fun, but for some people, it has become a death sentence.
In other news, an Accra Circuit Court has for the 7th time adjourned the case involving a national security operative Collins Kwaku alias Kola, who is being tried for his alleged involvement in a shooting incident at the Ablekuma Central Collation Center on December 8 last year. The adjournment was necessitated by the prosecution's failure to show up in court. The case had been previously adjourned due to the ill health of the judge, Emmanuel Sando. It has since been transferred to another Circuit Court Judge, Samuel Bright Aqua. There's more in this report.
An Accra Circuit Court has adjourned the case involving a national security operative, Collins Kwaku alias Kola, to 15th February 2021. Circuit Court Judge Samuel Bright Aqua adjourned the hearing owing to the inability of the prosecution to show up in court. Judge Samuel Bright Aqua, an Accra Circuit Court judge, is new to the case after the case was transferred to him due to the ill health of the original judge hearing the matter. The suspect, Collins Kwaku, has been charged with 6 counts of causing unlawful harm and using offensive weapon without legal authorization for his alleged role in the shooting in the leg of a journalist with Newswatch Ghana online portal, Pius Esiedu Kwenin. The shooting incident also caused varying degree of injuries to some other persons at the Ablekuma Central Collation Center on December 8. The court previously adjourned proceedings on a number of occasions as a result of the Circuit Court Judge Emmanuel Isando's inability to turn up in court due to ill health. The court wrote to the Chief Justice to transfer the case to this new court until Judge Emmanuel Isando is able to resume his full duties. Collins Kwaku, aka Kola, has pleaded not guilty to all 6 counts of causing of unlawful harm when he first appeared in court on December 17, 2020.
The Ghana Journalists Association has called on the police service to step up its efforts at finding the murderers of investigative journalist AHMED SUALE. Mr. SUALE, who was a member of Anas Arameo Anas's Tiger Eye PI team, was murdered at Medina 2 years ago. Since his killing, no one has been arraigned or prosecuted. At a forum organized by the GJA and Media Foundation for West Africa, GJA President Afil Moni asked the police to do more to arrest the perpetrators. Joynews' Kwekwe Asante was at the forum and filed this report.
It was almost midnight when AHMED SUALE set off home after a family gathering, as they usually do. A few meters from where this sitting was held, 3 bullets were fired into AHMED SUALE's neck and chest. AHMED SUALE was an investigative journalist with Tiger Eye Private Investigations and was part of an undercover team that investigated bribery in the Ghana Football Association, which implicated then President Kwesi Nyantakyi. His killing in January 2019 received international condemnation, with these bodies urging the police to take steps to arrest the perpetrators and prosecute them. Today, Tiger Eye PI and the Ghana Journalists Association marked 2 years since the killing of the journalist. According to President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Afil Moni, the police must do more to arrest the killers of AHMED SUALE. 2 years since the killing, no person has been prosecuted in connection with the murder, and the Ghana Journalists Association is calling on the powers that be to give maximum support to the police to arrest the killers.
Indeed, it is not within the bounds of possibility for AHMED SUALE, who was murdered in the most tragic circumstances, to be brought back to life. But we believe that it is within the bounds of capacity of the Ghana police and the law and order community as a whole to fish out the perpetrators and bring them to book. They have a track record of dealing with such matters. The professionalism, the urgent promptitude with which they have handled previous cases gives us hope that the Ghana police, backed by the political will from the highest office, can intensify the search for the killers of AHMED SUALE. So on the occasion of the second anniversary of his murder, we are reiterating the need for the investigations to step up their game.
Mr. Afil-Money also urged journalists not to cower because of that incident and continue to be independent and fearless in their discharge of their duties.
The inability of the security apparatus to expose the perpetrators of this heinous crime has the potential to exert a significant chilling effect on press freedom.
Now, lawyers for former President John Mahama have filed a new amendment seeking to compel the Electoral Commission to admit to some errors in its declaration of the results of the 2020 presidential election. It comes a day before the Supreme Court resumes hearing of the substantive petition, which the NDC presidential candidate in the election is challenging the declaration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as winner. The amendment wants the EC to admit to some 18 facts the petitioners have outlined. Court correspondent Joseph Akable joins us with more. So, Joseph, what are these 18 facts that they want the EC to admit?
A number of them is 18, like you pointed out, but they essentially relate to the declaration that the Electoral Commission chairperson made on December 9. In that declaration, you recall she announced that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo obtained more than 50% of the vote cast. You recall again that subsequently the AC chairperson made various corrections in statements that the commission released, pointing out that figures that she had referred to as total valid votes cast, among others, were not accurate, and such tabulations, according to Mr. Mahama's lawyers, gives a percentage point in terms of total of more than 100%. Now, what the lawyers are seeking to do is that, one, they are asking that she should admit that indeed she, as the AC chairperson, declared the results of December 9. This was an event that was live and picked by various media and on radio and online platforms as well. And they wanted to admit that the figures she mentioned were those figures that she subsequently corrected as well, and that since then she herself has not made any further declaration. We understand in terms of the lawyers, the strategy that they are putting across is that they want these matters to be admitted in court. Once it's admitted by the EC chairperson, it spares time in terms of elongating cross-examination, because instead of now having their lawyers need evidence to show that indeed she made mistakes in her declaration, they have her on oath admitting to making those errors, so that it makes the case move faster, rather than leading to wanting to have them argue over those points and leading evidence to demonstrate that indeed she made errors. They rather want her to on her own admit to those errors, so that it becomes fact and it becomes incontestable, so that the trial just proceeds without a need for a back and forth over those matters.
Now, Joseph, are we expecting that this will be heard tomorrow as the hearing of the petition resumes?
In terms of the documents filed, the date for the motion to be moved is tomorrow. And so it's the first issue that will be raised, or at least one of the issues, because as it stands, in terms of the business of the day, it's actually supposed to be the pre-trial conference where they are supposed to discuss how the trial should proceed. But once this application, which is due to be moved today, has been filed, they will bring that to the attention of the court and inform the court. And if the court is minded to allow them to move the motion, they will proceed to move the motion, after which the lawyers for the Electoral Commission and President Akufo-Addo's lawyers will also have the opportunity to respond, either to oppose it or to allow for it to pass as well.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, and we will be bringing you live coverage of the election petition once it resumes tomorrow. You're watching Joynews Prime. We're taking a break. We're bringing you business news next Tuesday.
Hello, good evening. It's time for business. I'm Charles Ayetip. High freight charges are becoming a nightmare for traders and importers who say the cost of renting or shipping a container from Asia and Europe has skyrocketed from $3,000 to $13,000. Dr. Joseph Ben, president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, has been shedding more light on the situation. He spoke to me earlier on the marketplace.
More than 100%. It's almost 500%. It's all because of the COVID outbreak. It's not the problem is not being solved globally. You know that countries are still having this serious problem at hand. So exports by China to European countries and America and all that, they are not getting containers full back into China. So because of a lack of productivity in these destinations that I'm talking about. So they are finding it difficult to get replacement of these containers, thereby creating a lot of shortage. And so the price have really gone up astronomically from $3,000 to $13,000, which is actually working against importation.
But interestingly, this could play out negatively in terms of its impact on the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. How do you weigh this particular impact?
Yeah, the problem actually centers mostly on Asia, that's China mainly. But if we do intra-trade in Africa, then the cost of the containers here will not even go up. I don't think it will have any serious impact on us. But because when we are doing intra-trade here, we don't have the finished products here. Normally, we said that we do only 15% intra-trade among Africans. But it's because we do not consume raw materials. We consume finished products. And most of these countries do not have these finished products that we seek to buy from Asia and elsewhere.
Well, let's stay with the ports because managers of the Integrated Customs Management Systems have issued a communique to stakeholders and exporters on the commencement of registration for goods under the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. The notice from the ICOMS implementation team cited by Joy Business indicates that henceforth any exporter or importer who wishes to trade under the new trade deal must pass through the ICOMS managed by Unipass. Ebenezer Sabote has more in this report.
The process of registration is the first step in ensuring that there is a seamless process for both importers and exporters that want to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Two Ghanaian firms, Kasapreko and Gandor Cosmetics, exported products on the first week of the official start of trade without the ICOMS process. The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, together with the implementation team of ICOMS, issued a directive to begin the process for registration Monday, 18th January. The process for registration was communicated to exporters in a notice which reads, quote, "We are pleased to inform you that the online process for the application of the AFCFTA exporter registration and ICOMS has been completed and implemented. All potential AFCFTA exporters should consult with a declarant to process their applications. They should complete the form and attach all relevant supporting documents and submit," unquote. Commissioner of Customs, retired Colonel Kwejo Damwa, told Joy Business that customs officials have been equipped to help exporters go through the process to ensure that the implementation becomes successful.
First, we need to build our capacity, and we've taken pragmatic steps to be doing that. Because whatever we are talking about is both by land, by air, and by sea. So you have all these ports. So exports are not going to be done only by air and by sea. Some will be done by land. Our neighbors, especially the landlocked one. So the ICOMS is the first thing that we try to do to build the capacity of our officers. So at all the land frontiers, the principal land frontiers where we have authorized exports, because our borders are porous, people try to do them. But if you are going through the proper export procedure, because you are sending huge consignment, then you certainly will have to pass through one of these land frontiers. And because we have the integrated customs management system already in place and we've trained officers, it won't be a problem at all.
This therefore puts Ghana ahead of its peers on the continent with regards to the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which has been ratified by 35 countries so far.
And that ends it for business in this edition. We're back after 8. I'm Charles Aite.
Many thanks for staying with us here on Joynews Prime Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensah Ando. Chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Kojo Fiano, says Galka in his second tenure will see clubs move from the era of seeing football as a recreation to business. My colleague Muftau Nabila Abdullah has the rest of the story.
On January 21, delegates of the Ghana League Clubs Association, the welfare body of clubs, would assemble at an elective congress to mandate new leaders to govern the association for the next 4 years. Incumbent chairman of the association, Kojo Fiano, claims number 12, a documentary premiered in 2018 exposing alleged corruption and match fixing within the Ghanaian game, and the COVID-19 pandemic last year affected his vision for the association. He tells Joy Sports if delegates gives him an opportunity to lead the association for the next 4 years, his focus will be to reposition it to attract the right corporate world.
My vision is to move the association to a different level. We've been seriously affected by the expose and then the COVID. And that actually brought us to our wit's end. And having crossed that bridge, we've learned very good lessons that should aid us into repositioning the association. One of the key things we want to do, first of all, we are bringing the women on board for the first time. The women premier clubs will join Galka. We need to fine-tune the constitution to make their admission eligible. Because of that, what we are going to do on Thursday is just to get somebody to represent them as an ex-official member on the executive, whilst we fine-tune the constitution.
Many have accused club owners in the country of not seeing the business side of football. Mr. Fiano says he will inculcate the business side of football into its members.
FIFA will tell you football is business. And it seems we are not seriously tackling the business side of football. We want to make our members aware that if we strike the right buttons and we do the right approaches, yes, it will be in a business that we'll be proud of.
Kojo Fiano is being contested by Isaac Kumsin, a former vice chairman of the association who lost the 2016 elections where Fiano polled 64 votes.
Now, spectators have been urged to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols at all game centres. The Ghana Football Association is worried that many spectators refuse to wear their face masks and obey social distancing rules when they enter the various stadia. Here is the Ghana Football Association General Secretary Prosper Harrison-Ado.
We continue to engage the clubs and the various stakeholders to ensure that it works fully. But it depends on all stakeholders, including the supporters themselves. I've been to the Accra Sports Stadium. You notice at the gates, people going into the stadium are wearing masks. Now they go to their seats, they sit down, and then people take their mask off and put it in their pockets, which should not be encouraged. So we plead and we urge all fans who go to the various stadiums that the mask, we've called for the mask for a purpose. So it's not only to enter, it's also to be worn during the game. I know sometimes it's discomforting, but you have to compare that with what we are dealing with. We are dealing with a very dangerous disease. And so I'll plead again to all soccer-loving fans who go to our various stadia that when you wear your mask and you enter, please don't take it off. And then when you go in, to ensure that there is social distancing as we've put in our protocol. So when you sit at one seat, make sure there's a space between you and the next person.
And that's it for sports. There is more at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensah Ando. Many thanks for your time.
Time for Showbiz and Becky Bex. Yeah, hello.
Hello to you, Easy. Let's start with God, because the multimedia group started with God this year.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we had a Thanksgiving service. You were there. So for our viewers out there.
We were both there.
Yeah.
We're all there.
And I had my chicken. we won't talk about that. But I mean, for those of you who were not there, here is a report.
Workers of the Multimedia Group Limited, their family members, friends and clients came in their white attire to celebrate the success of the team and give thanks to God. Archbishop Duncan Williams commended the Multimedia Group Limited for upholding the principles of journalism.
And I take the opportunity to celebrate every one of you, the Multimedia Group, and your CEO, Mr. PETITION, for how far God has brought you.
MGL CEO Kwesi Chum has been commending workers of the company as he led the team to thank God for his mercies.
Who has the final say? Jehovah has the final say. In your family, who has the final say? Jehovah has the final say. In your marriage, who has the final say? Everybody, Jehovah has the final say. In your salary increase, who has the final say? Raymond, everybody, Jehovah has the final say. Jehovah turn our lives around. Jehovah turns our lives around.
He makes a way where there seems no way. Oh, Jesus. We thank you, Jesus.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
Yes. Joy FM 90s Jam.
Okay.
Well,
you mean after the...
Yeah, after, you know. No,
so we started with God.
We started with
this
God.
Evening we started with God.
Yes.
Even though the 90s Jam actually came before the God.
But there's a little bit of, you know, God factor in the 90s Jam.
Tell me about that.
Well, because it's the 90s Jam.
And God presides over the affairs of men.
Of course. And also the multimedia group, which is the reason why, obviously.
Yeah.
God factor.
Okay.
I got you. So, I mean, for those of you who couldn't join virtually, we promised that we were going to give you the 90s Jam, and we delivered.
Wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had.
But I mean, it can never be like the real thing.
Yeah, so we're hoping that next year, COVID will disappear for some reason, disappear in our lives so that we can have like...
Or would have COVID under control.
Okay.
So that, and probably if we have all had the vaccines and there's herd immunity, then yeah, we can look forward to that.
The vaccines, are they here? Are they in?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, we'll be looking forward to it. But Easy, before I let you go, or before I go, yes, before I go, let's talk about Something Wicked Awards.
Okay. That controversial award.
I'm telling you, this is like the 4th time running, but
this is the 4th time?
But this year, it looks like has gained momentum, you know, and a lot of people have been talking about it. So for those of you, it's actually satiric, so, you know. So for those of you who haven't seen or heard about Something Wicked Award, you have it here.
The 2021 edition of the annual Something Wicked Awards came off virtually on Friday, 15th January. Organized by Hits FM's Hits Gallery team, the 4th edition of the satirical awards scheme seeks to create humor while reminding fans of interesting events in the year under review. Rapper Sarkodie was adjudged Stingy Personality of the Year. This comes days after he joined the Stingy Men Association. Kwame Eugene presented the award to Sarkodie.
Something Wicked Stingy Artist of the Year. Senior Man Sarkodie.
Actress Tracy Boachi and musician Miss Bell grabbed the award for Beef of the Year in line with their Papano controversy. Stoneboy's supposed #1 fan Aisha Modi, who is usually slammed for meddling in the affairs of other people, was adjudged Kasapole of the Year. For all the emotional rants on social media concerning his daughters and going after his baby mama and anyone that came for him, comedian Funny Face won the Emotional Personality of the Year award. Fanny Faze happily accepted the award with a speech on social media. Dancehall act Shatta Wale won Ishanla Artist of the Year for reportedly releasing about 60 songs with no major hit.
Well, let me put this on record that Dr. Yuen was crowned he received the Lifetime Achievement Award of the year at the Something Wicked Song.
Anyway, okay, but I think it's also important to know that, I mean, it was just fun.
Just,
so please,
just
don't
fun.
take it to heart and don't come attacking anybody.
No, this time we hope that nobody will. Yeah. I mean, this time we had, a lot of these celebrities, retweeting.
Okay, and acknowledging the awards.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, thank you very much, Becky Bex. Next, you should win something.
Nothing.
Right, that'll be it for those watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joynews channel. Do stay tuned in. In first and second cycle schools in the Ashanti region are yet to fully appreciate the import of observing the COVID-19 safety protocols as schools reopen. In breach of social distancing protocols, the students walk to school holding conversations without their masks. Now, Jima has been to some schools in the region and filed this report.
Most of the students are happy returning to school after several months of break due to COVID-19 pandemic. But these students walking to school are without their nose masks.
Where's your mask?
This is in my bag. This is in my bag.
So why aren't you wearing it on your way to school?
I intend buying the mask in school. I didn't get some to buy on my way. I will strictly adhere to all the protocols.
It is difficult for me to breathe in the mask, but I'll wear it. At the entrance of Bomsu School, some students stand at the entrance to enforce hand washing and the wearing of nose masks. Within the school compound, the protocols are observed. Veronica buckets are dotted across campus, but authorities will not allow the team to film. At American Dream Educational Complex, fears of parents were allayed after witnessing the measures in place for the safety of students.
I harbored some fear walking my child to school this morning. The president mentioned that cases continue to rise, so I was disturbed. But seeing the measures in place, I am satisfied.
Thermometer gun check that's our temperature no higher.
I think we have put in place measures that is going to take care of that. As far as monetary stuff is concerned, we making sure that we pay for whatever we are using as parents. And we've done our PTA virtual meeting on our platforms. On this Sunday, we are going to have a face-to-face PTA, meeting, and we are going to see how best we are going to, sustain this thing.
Protocols are strictly observed in classrooms at the Solid Rock of Ages International School at Bokrom. Classroom sizes have been reduced to between 20 and 25 to ensure social distancing in classrooms. Proprietor Isaac Bwedi wants government to extend support to private schools.
Some schools in other regions have been fumigated. I know they did some work in Kumasi, but here in the Bokrom circuit, most schools were not fumigated. So we had to do it ourselves, but some are unable to afford.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
In the Central Region, Joynews' Richard Kojonyako has been studying the happenings in the schools as they reopened Monday. He reports many of the school pupils were not in masks, and those who had the mask had it either in their bags or in their pockets. Here's more in the following report.
This was how normal this basic school was when I visited. The new normal was lost on them and was business as usual. Outside the classrooms, the school pupils treat themselves to some games. In the class 6 of the Iguasi Anglican School, a total of about 40 pupils in the class, and only 2 pupils had their mask on when I visited. I engaged them.
Good morning. How are you? How many of you know about coronavirus? Have you heard of it? Yes. How can we prevent coronavirus from infecting us?
Wearing our masks and sanitizer.
Okay, but you're not wearing masks, right? Okay, but when you are seated in the class, you're not wearing one. But you want to be infected with coronavirus?
Yes.
Okay, so henceforth, what will you do?
Wear my mask.
Okay, so wear your mask and let me see. Where is your mask? You didn't bring some, or it's in your pocket. Or why have you put your mask in the pocket? Wait. To bring your mask.
Regional chairman of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Dr. Isaac Owusu, after his tour of some of the schools in the region, had this to say.
Going around few schools this morning, what we've seen, particularly at the public basic school, it is not encouraging. Why am I saying so? If you look at the children that have come to school, if you take about 10 pupils or students, it is out of 1 or 2 that are with the nose mask, which is very unfortunate. I think the parents that have their wards at the public basic school are not helping matters, as well as the employer, that is the GES and the Ministry of Education, because schools have officially resumed today. But unfortunately, the GES has not been able to provide the PPEs for the schools. Likewise, the parents have also sat down without making provision of the PPEs before allowing their children to go to school. And we all know the risk at which we are all standing now.
Deputy Central Regional Director of Health in charge of Public Health, Dr. Godfred Sapon, gave the statistics on the case management in the region.
Cumulatively, we have 2,212 cases. And this is taking it from the 8th of April when we first had our first case to date. And our active case count currently is at 47. Majority of them, I think about the 36.
Now to the second Takadu Metropolis, where a few of the schools have decided to reopen on Wednesday, January 20, so they could adequately prepare for the return of their students. There was, however, adherence to the coronavirus preventive protocols, particularly face masks for those that had reopened. At the Presbyterian Academy in Takoradi, the students appeared quite excited to be back in school.
COVID-19 had a serious impact on students. Students learned there from their teachers, and due to COVID-19, teachers were not allowed to come to school, so were students not allowed to be in school. So our learning has been drastically affected. We are preparing for our upcoming external examination, which is the BC, and without teachers, we stand no chance of passing. So I'm very happy that the government has allowed us to come to school, although we have heard rumors of an impending second or third wave, but our education is more important than the sickness. Life must continue.
Actually, staying at home has been it has had a negative effect upon our education. You know, they brought out the online learning and this kind of stuff, but because of financial difficulties, most of us couldn't enjoy something advantage. So it has actually have an effect upon our education.
Speaking with Joynews, head of the COVID-19 team at the school, Sandra Kumsing, was hopeful pupils would adhere to all the protocols.
And my duty is to make sure they observe the COVID-19 protocol. So I'm starting from class by class, but I'm beginning into but this is basic 3, and I'm in charge of basic 3. At first, we used to sit in pairs. You see 2 kids on one desk. But now, because of the social distancing, the children are now sitting one on one desk, as you can see, observing the social distancing. And before they came inside too, me and my team, we took their temperatures and we also make sure they wash their hands. Since they are kids, I assist them in washing of their hands before they came inside. And
in the Volta region, heads and teachers in the various schools had difficulty ensuring students and school children observe the COVID-19 protocols. Education Director for the Anglonga District, Yvonne Akpene Bruce, said parents are not ready to cooperate.
The part of the directorate, we have engaged the teachers and the heads, so they know what the protocol is all about. So, as you rightly said, the teachers on their part are trying hard to make sure that the students and pupils wash their hands before they enter, they sanitize their hands before they get to the classrooms and then the libraries. But the difficulty we are facing is this. Yesterday, we were in 2 different groups. We went around the churches in the district so that we could go. And then we engaged the parents and the communities, as you see, that when their wards are leaving their sites for school, they should try as much as possible to give them the mask.
The Chief Executive for Anglonga said Gbogbo Lulu Yomavu asked parents to supply their children with basic needs to help them observe the protocols.
That there is a directive now that schools should reopen and school are open. But at the end, we need a cooperation of the parents so that we can all do it in such a way that we all be happy. But as you can see, the parents are not cooperating because we all feel that at times the government is doing its best, but the parents will have to be supportive. Because when we talk about the sanitizers and then the nose masks, I think whatever we have in stock have been shared to the schools. We know that it's not enough, but we are expecting more to add to all those things. But the appeal is that the parents have to support. At times when your ward is going to school, maybe sanitizer and nose masks. Now we will just add one or two. Well, we can see that they are not supporting at all. But this COVID we are talking about is real. But some people, this attitude that COVID is not there is just something we are saying, and at the end, I think it's because of that. That's why we are having that problem. But we also, who are here at the helm of our affairs, we are also trying our possible best to educate the people.
In the northern region, Martina Bugri has been engaging students of the Kalfuhini SDA in the Tamale metropolis who have been giving several reasons why it will be difficult for them to adhere to the protocols. The students cite their classroom sizes, which compels them to sit about 3 and 2 on a desk, thereby making social distancing impracticable. They are therefore asking the government for more classroom blocks and water to help them comply.
Since the time I came to school, I've not seen anyone wearing nose masks, especially the students. And government said that he will provide us with nose masks, and he has not given us the nose masks yet. So we are hoping that he provides us with the nose masks and the water, especially the water. When it comes to the washing hands and the sanitizer, we have to go to the communities to fetch water, and I won't come in. Pour it inside the containers before we can get water to wash our hands. So we are hoping that the government will provide us with the nose masks and the water and sanitizer.
The president announced that school children should resume school on 15th, and on Friday
Vice President Mamadou Bawumia has made a passionate appeal to benevolent organizations to initiate pro-poor interventions to help support the vulnerable in society. Speaking at the 5th anniversary of Christ the King Soup Kitchen at Christ the King Church Monday, Dr. Bawumia touched on the reward that comes with giving to the poor and needy. He also pledged to support the construction of Father Campbell's Soup Kitchen with 100,000 cedis.
Okay, but the school was empty.
The Christ the King Soup Kitchen, an intervention that feeds hundreds of children, has been running for the past 5 years. Father Campbell, who champions this initiative, has always depended on the benevolence of the public to keep it running. With a few months left for him to retire as parish priest of Christ the King Catholic Church in Accra, Reverend Father Andrew Campbell wants to leave a legacy. Speaking at the 5th anniversary of the Soup Kitchen, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia called on benevolent organizations operating in Ghana to reach out and support the poor.
These children, one can only imagine what they would have been going through without this soup kitchen. Every morning they are here, they take their bath, they have breakfast, they have some lessons, they have lunch, and then leave every morning. And this has been going on for 5 years. It's just incredible what has happened. Of course, the good Lord admonishes us to take care of the poor and the needy. As usual, Father Campbell will tell you, I want to do this, and then we will start looking for the money to do it. This morning, he has put up a 1 million CD requirement for the Mother Teresa Soup Kitchen in Osu. 1 million CDs. So I'm asking everybody to dig deep to make sure you have been given envelopes and make sure we start contributing. I've told Father Campbell that yes, you don't have money, but we will start raising money to get it done. I have taken up the responsibility to put together 100,000 CDs to start as seed money for this project. So I'll be knocking on a lot of doors to put that together for you. And I'm encouraging everybody to come on board and let us do this. In addition, there were 4 children who need to go to senior secondary and they need sponsors. So I will take over the sponsorship of these 4 children.
The Father Campbell Soup Kitchen, if completed, will serve as shelter for the homeless.
No physical strength to climb up the ladder. People around look at me as if I'm dead.
You're watching Joynews when we're taking a break. We're bringing you more business. Do stay tuned in.
Hello there, you're welcome back to business. The anticipated economic recovery in the coming months could suffer up a major setback as the country witnessed a surge in active COVID-19 cases and deaths. If this should continue, it could lead to another shutdown. But is the economy in a better shape now to absorb the COVID shocks? And what about the rebound of businesses? Well, here we've been speaking, of course, to the head of Financial Advisory Unit at Deloitte Ghana, Yao Latib, who spoke to my colleague Daryl Kwao on Business Live.
The economy is still struggling to find its feet following the associated shocks from last year's lockdown and the effect of COVID-19 on some sectors of the economy. It was projected that the economy could record one of its lowest growth in years when the Ghana Statistical Service finally put out its end of 2020 GDP numbers. It was expected that with the various restrictions being lifted and the economy opening up, that would help fast-track the recovery, with the incoming flights opening up of some tourist sites. But with the strict COVID-19 protocols, that would have helped the situation. But with the current challenges and active case rising, these same businesses that the activities would have helped contribute to the economic growth may be forced to step down the activities. That could again affect production and possibly lead to another round of layoffs. Again, some of these workers that have been waiting on the list to be called back may also be put on hold. There is even new data that suggests that most of the fresh infections are hitting the young population, a move that should worry most business owners that might be forced to shut down or lose their workforce. Well, for some, whichever way you want to look at this, most businesses that were already struggling could see their situation compounded.
Well, actually, that was George Rafi's reports there. Let's now bring in Financial Advisory Unit of Deloitte Ghana, Yao Latte, on this particular issue.
We will still have some challenges, but we have some opportunities available. So like you say, in the midst of the problems are prospects. There are some prospects available for us. So one key area, for instance, is the mining sector. And it's been noted in some of the report from the World Bank and Moody's that gold price has remained as high as about $1,800 per ounce over the last few months, almost hitting $2,000 per ounce. That's a significant rise or peak for gold prices. And so if you are going to support a sector like the mining sector, we're going to have the benefit of that. So there are potential upsides, and that's the mining sector is one area. Also, for us as a country, we have not been doing very well with our internal revenue mobilization. And so if we have those challenges and we have an opportunity to address them, we should be able to address our domestic or internal revenue mobilization.
Be it for business, I'm Charles Aite.